Yeah,
Ah, very interesting. They got guys flying in, flying out, re-signing. They've
pick
been
10 and pick 31 they have in the first round. And before we get going, and perhaps this will be settled by the time you listen to this podcast, but Darius Slay was reportedly going to get released. And then our Josina Anderson reported that, hold up, it may not happen because there was some salary cap math to do. I'll ask you a general question and then a specific question. Generally, is a salary cap even a real thing? Like, can you always work around the salary cap? Number one. And number two, what did Howie Roseman figure out in the 12th hour if they're going to potentially keep Darius Slay?
Well, I think it's when you can manipulate the salary cap to make sure you're under the cap, but you're always pushing your credit card bill out into the future. Eventually, you have to pay that credit card bill. It's just a matter of when it's due. But they may be trying to restructure his deal to fit underneath the cap, maybe converting signing bonus or some more guaranteed money so they can prorate it out in the contract. Eventually, that number is going to get too big for them to keep him.
Yeah.
But it sounds like they want to keep him because they were able to get Bradbury back, which was a huge sign for him. So if you have those two corners, I think that would keep them set at the corner. Defensive tackle position, I know they lost Hargrave to San Francisco. They were able to sign Cox back. I think they still have to look at defensive tackle at number 10. And I know this is too high for you, but the way Brazee has been climbing up and it's ascending through this process, starting at the combine workout, then his pro day, supposedly he knocked it out of the park down at Clemson's pro day. Tremendous upside. Everybody knows his story about last year and all the adversity that he had to get through. Can they get him back to what he was as a freshman when he was pretty much a dominant defensive tackle? So I could see that. And you got to take Jordan Davis did struggle last year. I mean, he was in a rotation. He got hurt. Watching him on tape before the Super Bowl, he's up and down with his consistency. I still think he's going to be a very good player, but he's not there yet. So I can see them really honing in on defensive tackle here. And I wouldn't be if Jalen Carter fell all the way down to here. I think that's a no-brainer for Howie to take.
Wow, yeah.
I don't know if he would fall all the way down there, but he would. I would think that Howie would definitely take a swing at him, or a Van Ness. I do like Van Ness as well because he has some position flexibility to move inside and out. But I still think that this first pick, they got to really hone in and focus on D tackle.
Right, 10. And if you're watching on YouTube, Debo has it right. I said it wrong. The Eagles have picks 10 and pick 30, not pick 31.
They lost in the Super Bowl.
They lost the Super Bowl, Debo, just in case you forgot that. So I had Van Ness going 10 as well. Do you like Van Ness more than Brazee in terms of versatility? Because Van Ness is 275 now, probably gets up to 285, 290.
Yeah, but I don't know if he's going to be able to hang in there like Brazee can as a true under tackle.
And just for the sake of completeness here, Rashad Penny, they got from Seattle. We talked about that. Miles Sanders left for the Panthers, which is an interesting one. Marcus Epps left for the Las Vegas, Kazir White went to Arizona. You mentioned Hargrave went to 49ers. That's a huge gift for San Francisco. Kelsey returns at center. You mentioned Bradbury. Fletcher Cox came back on a one-year deal, which is also a big deal. Boston Scott's back. I think Boston Scott might play for the next 50 years. It seems like he has always been on that roster. And then Andre Dillard, the first-round pick who didn't work out, is now in Tennessee, where he's probably going to be the starter at left tackle, and that'll be something worth keeping our eye on. At pick 30, Rick, in my Monday mock before free agency, I had them taking Keely Ringo, who had a great pro day. If Jalen Carter had the pro day Keely Ringo did, he'd be in the conversation for number one again with the Bears if they stay put. Still a need cornerback, or are we going to look somewhere else?
Oh, I'm going to throw a little wrench in your philosophies here.
Okay, go for it.
Let's say because they lost Marcus Epps and Branch, we will be at his pro day to see his pro day in person because of the Bryce Young workout. So we'll be able to maybe determine. But let's say Branch slips because he didn't run as fast at the combine. Now, maybe he reruns at his pro day. So we'll find that out when we're there next week. But if a Branch is hanging around because of his position flexibility, /safety, they lost Epps. They don't have Gardner Johnson under contract yet, and I don't know if he's coming back or not. So I'd see safety right there at 30 as a potential landing spot for Branch if he falls that far. And I don't know if there's another safety in this draft that would be worthy of a 1st-round pick, but that could be a bigger need than corner, especially if they get Slay back.
Yeah, Chauncey Gardner-Johnson tweeted out earlier on Thursday that he's waiting to see what happens here. He's ready to make things happen in Philadelphia. They're not quite there yet. I can't believe you didn't mention your guy, Rick. You didn't mention Daniel Scott as potentially being a sleeper for a 1st-round pick. He had a good pro day too, apparently. I think Cal had the pro day.
3rd day pick. Very good football player, but his value is on Saturday.
Oh, I think he's a Friday pick.
Oh, well, we'll see. Okay.
Dollar it up?
Dollar it up.
All right. Daniel Scott, safety out of Cal, Debo. I say day 2. Rick says day 3.
My comparison?
Who is it?
Remember we talked about this. Andrew Sendejo.
Oh, yeah, Sendejo. That's right. Undrafted free agent. I saw a tweet yesterday. Vikings fans were applauding you for crushing it on the safeties that you were really good at bringing into Minnesota, whether undrafted or obviously otherwise with Harrison Smith. So,
yeah, we had Anthony Harris.
Yeah.
Bynum, from corner to safety. Curse, who didn't fit ideally the scheme, but plays pretty good down in Dallas. So we were able to land some pretty good safeties. Yeah. I give credit though. You got to give credit to the scouts and the coaches. I'm just a guy, just like on this podcast, just put a quarter in me and let me know what to do. And I'll try to provide.
You got a lot of quarters in you. I'll say that. All right. So that's the Eagles. Debo, are you okay with those picks? A defensive lineman at 10 and then a safety type at 30?
Yeah, Rick actually tried to cut my mic and cut the cord, but I'm back.
I know
great.
He doesn't. Yeah, no, we need a guy, a sidekick.
I thought that's my job. I thought I was the sidekick.
Yeah, I absolutely love it. Ringo's someone that I've targeted. Previously in the season, there was points in the mock where you had him around that 10 range. To get a talent like that at 30 seems awesome to me. Bradbury and Slay are both over 30, so I would not ignore taking a corner. Maybe you're not getting Gonzalez or Porter Jr. at 10 now with both of them back, but would absolutely go after one at 30. But safety, depending on Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, is a more immediate pressing need for the team. So if Branch is there, I like that option.
So, Debo, do you want to take a break after this?
Yeah.
All right. Let me ask her a question, then we'll take a quick break. So, Rick.
Ask Debo. Apparently, I'm even kicking down the ladder even farther now.
Oh, no.
That was a good explanation, Debo, for a producer that sits in a closet all day and puts his show on. You actually do read some stuff. Now, if you ever watch tape, it'd be great. But
see, that's how it works, Debo. He builds you up, and then he punches you in the gut. So, Rick, let me follow up, though, because our guy, Bryant McFadden, 2-time Super Bowl champ with the Pittsburgh Steelers, cornerback out of Florida State, the #1 prospect coming out of high school. He mentioned during the fall that he thought Kelee Ringo might be best served playing safety. Any thoughts of that if you take him at 30 or no?
No, I mean, teams will look at some of that. I mean, we always looked at the bigger corners because, and again, this safety class is not a great safety class, in my opinion. So you're always looking at some of those guys. But the biggest thing about moving from corner to safety and what will happen in draft meetings, what will happen in the interviews is that corners, usually the good ones, basically cover the guy in front of them. They don't have to know the whole scheme and everything like that. Where the biggest adjustment in all my experience moving a corner to safety is, can they communicate on the back end? Do they know the whole scheme? Can they make all the adjustments? Can they communicate to everybody? And a lot of times those corners will take some time because it's the first time they're seeing it from that part of the field. Usually if they're outside, it's just, hey, I got this dude and or I'm going to cover this area in my zone. But when you move to safety, it's a whole different ball game. And like we found out is the closer you line up to the ball, center, quarterback, running back, linebacker, safety, those have to be the smartest players on the field for you.
Like you said, you can't be too smart, but you can be too dumb.
Well, the farther away from the ball, we actually upgraded guys if they didn't score very well on the intelligence, especially corners, because you want them to forget after they get beat.
Right. All right, there you go. And hey, look, we just talked about your success with hitting home runs on the at the safety position. So make Keely Ringo maybe not a safety.